how would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Rashesh Doshi with us, which is the founder of Talent Corner HR Services. And tell us, and he's joining us from India. So tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to sell the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Thanks, Harry. Thank you so much for this question. And what I'm going to share with you, Harry, and the listeners is my journey of what I thought helped Talent Corner, which is my company, achieve its first million. I think the first thing is to understand who are your customers. We as entrepreneurs are so emotionally involved in our product or our service that sometimes we don't really look at what our customers or who our customers are and what is it that they require. We try to cater to all segments of customers, whereas the truth being, you can't make everybody happy. You can't build a product or a service for everybody. It has to be for a few people. It has to be for a focused segment of people. I think the first learning that I've had is that you need to know who your customers are, and that involves, of course, a considerable amount of market research to understand the size of your market and ensure that you're actually building a product for them. The second thing that, Harry, I've learned is, always try to solve a problem which is existing for them, and also make sure that your marketing, the perception that the marketing is created, is clearly communicating this problem that you're solving. Some bitter learnings for us have been that, you have a product which is solving a particular problem, but your marketing is not speaking loud enough or is not speaking the correct language when it comes to telling the world that you're able to solve the problem. So of course, I believe in order to earn your first million, you need to have the marketing which is communicating how you're able to solve the problem. The third thing that has, of course, helped us a lot is in terms of tracking every single penny, right? I think as entrepreneurs, if you want to achieve a certain milestone, you need to make sure that your every penny invested is creating returns for you, that you need to know where it is being invested. And I think that's a learning that we've got. Monitor the cash flow, keep a track of where you're investing every single rupee, because that single rupee or single penny is going to create the next million if you invest it well. The fourth one, I think, which helps you to build the first million is, of course, network and build your mentors. I think there is enough spoken about how the network can help you build or to scale your business. You need to talk to the right people. You need to ask for support. You need to ask for advice. You need to reach out to people and get them as your mentors, because I think you can't do this entire thing alone. You have to do it along with people who believe in you and your journey. And the last, I think for me, the biggest learning has been you need the right talent with you. I'm in the HR business. There's no one more appreciative of bringing in the right talent in the organization. Bring in the right talent, pay them well, pay them on time. And I think these 5 things put together can actually help you achieve your first million reasonably easily.
Attracting talent to the organization, something that is kind of huge challenge for entrepreneurs. I think that when I started to hire people for my company, I remember that I was so happy because they were better than me and everything. They were better than me in sales. They were better than me at everything. Basically, was nothing that I was better than them. To be honest, we managed to, when we had our property business, we managed to sell over 5 million. And however, in order for that to happen, a transformation process has to be within the entrepreneur, because when we start the business, sometimes we don't know what we're doing, and some people and everybody at the beginning, because let's face it, we all have ego. Otherwise, we won't be entrepreneurs. We think that we can do better. So that ego is there. However, if you go to business thinking that you're the big boss, that you everybody need to listen to you and you know everything, at the end of the day, it really it really doesn't work because you end up exhausted, tired, and every single decision of the business need to go through you. And of course, because you're taking a lot of the decisions, uh, they can be bad, and then that have an impact in the business. However, there are a certain amount of entrepreneurs that make this business like they are making it around them because they have the perception that they want to go there and know that he's the boss, that everybody has to do what he said, and so on. So, how you how you feel this? Because this also happening in large corporation that that sometimes entrepreneurs get confused and thinking that attracting talent to the organization can outshine the role. And everybody, when they were asking me this question, I say, Harry, but don't bring these people. Even when I was an employee, I was sometime I was recruiting people to do software development, and the people were telling me, no, 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 Harry, don't bring people that with more talent than you because they're gonna take your job. And I was telling to my colleagues, the problem is that my talent is this one. Bring people with more talent. His talent is right code, but my one is bring people with more talent. So that's my thing. That's my talent. So don't worry about my job. I always will have my job. I was telling to my colleagues, and they couldn't understand never what I was doing as an employee. So tell us, what is the good, the bad, or the ugly of attracting talent to the organization?
So, Harry, you've said it beautifully that if you're not attracting talent better than you, then you aren't really building an organization or an enterprise. Um, I do agree with you that a lot of entrepreneurs, or if I may say, so called entrepreneurs, who try to control the narrative in their organization by hiring talent which is below, below the ability or the skill that they have. I think then eventually, Harry, they will become managers. They will not become entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur is the one who appreciates collective wisdom, right? An entrepreneur is the one who's not going to be, if I may say, suppressed by the idea that someone else has better skill that he or she does have, but who knows that it's not about the skill alone, which is going to change the way the organization functions. It's the entire orchestra piece which comes together, right? And
Hundred percent.
I often look at ourselves as not the person who's playing the guitar well or the violin well, but the guy who's actually controlling all of them together to play it in sync, right? So look at yourself as the leader of the opera. You don't need to be too worried about the fact that so someone else may have a better skill than you do, because eventually, even
And
if they
play
have a
the
better
piano
skill,
better than you.
yeah,
That's you should be happy that
yes, you
somebody
should
play
be
the
happy.
piano better than you. That's the
Yeah,
whole point.
and
Because
they probably will be
the whole
better
orchestra is
music.
gonna sound better, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and I think the idea is only when you have people better than you will you be able to take up a bigger role in the organization,
Hundred
because they
percent.
will relieve you from responsibility. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the reason
Mm-hmm.
why you and me become entrepreneurs is because we want to grow.
Mm.
If we didn't want to grow, then we should have not taken up entrepreneurship in the first place.
And also we want freedom. I remember one day I arrived to the office and my manager told me, Harry, go home. We don't need you here. I'm like, what? She told me, no, no, no. You go home, travel the world if you want. Telling me, in fact, the only problem in the company is you because you're coming here talking to us, and we are working here. So the whole thing is that when you attract talent to the organization, you can, in fact, make yourself even obsolete in your own business. Because the truth was that even my manager, she was growing the company better than me. She finds better property than me. She was managing the whole thing better than me. They were very good at sales, and to the point that she really told me this. She told me travel the world and don't worry about it. She told me I will go once a month to tell you what's going on. So she will come in just to tell me what she was doing in my company. And the first day and the second day you feel a little bit strange, but the third day you I'm thinking like, wow, I how I managed to pull this off. Then I somehow train those leaders inside the organization that they literally don't need me for anything. They can run and grow the company by themselves. That was something beautiful that happened to me. It didn't happen overnight. A lot of I didn't know that in that process that happened within my organization, I was transforming myself from an entrepreneur to a leader, and a leadership that don't hold position of power, but rather to generate more leaders. That's why we have these programs, speakers and leaders all over the world, because we believe that leadership is the key for growing a company. But what is a good leader? A good leader is someone that holds position of power, or a good leader is someone that generate and develop leaders without organizations, to the point that 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 you have leaders that and those leaders empower another leaders. So what's your view in leadership? Is it really but because that's the other thing, and I'm glad because you are in a chair. Okay, we have sometimes oh, we need someone with management position. Oh, let's bring that person because he's amazing at doing this job in this and doing his job, and obviously it's going to be better managing the group of the people, without knowing that now you're moving someone that is doing a very good job as a skill, but you're moving that person to a leadership position, and doesn't have leadership training. He needs some training to be a leader, and that sometimes we find a lot of this issue in the organization. The people say, how come can be such amazing gold star employee and such a bad manager? I don't understand. And so tell us how can we mitigate or how can we close this gap? Because on the other hand, it's unfair that an employee is performing amazing, and then you see that if the manager goes, then you bring in another manager that new, making more money, and then all the employees they are like, how come I didn't get promoted? How come I'm working a lot here, and then they bring in money from somewhere else, paying them more money, and this manager doesn't know even nothing about this business. Even the employee, I have to train the money how to do few things because he doesn't know. So how you handle with this? This is a problem that we have in a small and large organization every single day. What solution do you propose?
So, Harry, that's a complex question. And I can tell you one thing that selecting a leader is one thing, and, getting acceptability is another. I can tell you one thing, not every best employee has the capability of becoming a great leader.
This I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And, once the leader is selected, the leader's job is to create more leaders within the organization. So that's the first and the primary responsibility. A lot of people don't understand this, and I can say this with a lot of boldness. A leader's job is not to get the job done. A leader's job is to ensure that more leaders get created, who then in turn get the job done. That's point number one, right? Point number two is, if a leader is a favorite amongst a lot of people, then he's not a leader, right? It's often said greatness was never achieved without pinching a few egos, right? Greatness is always achieved when you pinch a few egos, when you trouble a few people and push them to go towards the edge, right? And I think a leader's job is to identify those people who can be pushed towards the edge to get the best out of them. So that's my suggestion number two. And suggestion number three, I think I'm going to go back to you and me as leaders. You mentioned a beautiful story about one of your colleagues who could take over the entire operations and could do the growth, or to bring the growth better than you and I could, right? And I think that's beautiful because we at Talent Corner are also going through the same kind of experience where the next set of leaders are able to drive the business and
Wow.
bring necessary growth. Uh, but I think
Wow.
fundamentally, one last point that I want to bring in, Harry, we as leaders, as entrepreneurs, our job is not necessary to only lead. Our job is to find newer opportunities. And that only you and
Mm-hmm.
me can do because we
Mm-hmm.
have our eyes and ears open to look for new
Mm.
opportunities. So that's
Yeah.
my
And
concluding.
we always looking for talent.
Sorry?
We always looking for talent.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Always. I think that the uh, one of the most important thing is attract talent to the organization. I
True.
did kind of by accident, right? That I was bringing these people to my organization, and yeah, like it's a process. It was no the employees was like this. We have a few problems at the beginning hiding the people, but we realized later on that the secret was culture, right? And if the values of the company values the value of that employee, right? Then it's gonna be a good fit, and this person gonna be feel comfort, and it's gonna be enrolled, and it's gonna be happy within the company because the value of the company match the value. Something that I didn't know when we started to hire people, but we realized that. Uh, for example, I had one employee that stole money from me, right? So basically, our values, our company, we're not stealing from anybody, right? So if somebody come and one of the values is that they can steal money and run away, well, steal the money, run away, it cannot work in our company anymore because this value doesn't align with the value that we have. But as we grow a company, we start to bring these people. I remember one of key values that we have in the organization is multitasking because it was a small business. So even until today, we still operate with very few employees, right? And I think in 18 years that I've been in business, I never hear any of my employees to tell me, Harry, this is not my job. Because since once we hire them, we tell them, look, this is our values, our company. We have very few people. So here we need to multitask. So you need to be open that today we can assign you a task, but tomorrow we can assign you another one. Even this podcast, when I told our team we want to do a podcast, they're telling me, "What? What's that?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "We don't know." I said, "Well," and they say, "Okay, Harry, give us 3 weeks, and we will figure out that for you." And after 3 weeks, they came back and told me, "Harry, don't touch anything. Just do the video, record, and forget it. It will go to social media. We go to Spotify, Apple. It's amazing. We're gonna do a background like you that you're gonna look like you are in the BBC. Don't worry about anything. All sorted. We already figured out everything, right?" So I think that when we hide them, we made them clear about the culture of the company and how we operate. And yes, it's somebody that is used to, okay, this is my job, this is very specific, and I'm not gonna change a little bit anything out of my job description that might fit in another companies that they are large corporation, and they really need someone like this exactly do. But in ours, it won't be a right fit. So it's not about the employee if it's good or bad. It's about finding the match between the culture of the organization and the culture of the company. So my question to you is the following: it's not only attracting the talent to the organization, it's attracting the talent that match the culture. How you guys evaluate that, which is something that is not written in a CV? You
Yeah.
have a CV, and how you gonna out of a CV, how you gonna know if that person values and culture with us as a person is gonna match somehow the value of the cultures of the company. As a recruiter, that's tough one, yeah.
Yes,
And
it's a
that's
tough
what
one.
everybody. But this is what everybody's looking for. They want to
Absolutely.
see they want to see the skill as a second, They want to see first value, especially in a startup. That if you bring
Right.
somebody wrong, that's it. The startup is gone. So
Right.
tell us a little bit more how you guys deal with this, which is a very tough problem to deal.
Yeah, yeah, it is definitely a challenging thing. So I'm with you
Huge,
on this one, Harry.
huge
Yeah,
challenge.
so huge challenge. You're absolutely right that culture is a very important component at every organization. It's often said that culture will eat strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So we all want to preserve our culture, but another important component, like you mentioned about the culture, is actually the value system. And you obviously need to invest a considerable amount of time first to understand your values. What is the value of the organization? What are the three important values of the organization? And once you've identified it, I think the next step would be that during your interview process, uh, create situations or create hypothetical situations which can test whether the person fits into your values or
How
no.
do you know? How do you know for your organization that's going to be a good fit?
So it's
Without reading the skill will
yeah,
be secondary, because of course they need to have certain skills, but
yeah.
let's letting out the skills. How do you know that the person is going to be good fit for your organization,
So you
that
give them
you can do the second step, which is evaluate the skills to make sure that actually
correct.
I have the experience and know how to do the job. This first part, which has something to be with emotional intelligence, value, and everything, this is very difficult, hard to assess, and it's the key.
It's obviously challenging, and what I do is typically I ask the if then what question, right? So for example,
Ah, wow,
three
that's very
values.
clever.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
wow,
then
that's very good.
great. So if it
Good
works
tip.
for us,
Good
it
tip.
works out for us. So for example, the three value systems that we have at Talent Corner is called trust, transparency, and relationships. Now, it's a very critical value system, and we want to make sure that an employee is very, very transparent, because I think eventually transparency builds trust. Um,
100%.
yeah, and then what we do is we ask them questions, hypothetical questions, that if you were in this particular situation, what would you do, right? And if a person is not, is not fitting into the transparency bucket, obviously they will create, a situation around it where they will try to protect themselves, versus an employee who is openly going to talk about their vulnerabilities, an employee who's going to be talking about how they would handle the situation by saying, by being apologetic, okay, to a customer, right? And that, I think, is a value that you want a team member not to believe that they know it all, or not to believe that they can solve it all, but who can go out and say, listen, I'm sorry, I couldn't do this for you. And this is my genuine effort that I put in. I will continue to make an effort. And I hope you continue to trust me. And if that is coming out, that's a great fit at our organization, Talent Corner. Of course, these are our value systems. If anybody watching this video has identified their
Mhm.
value systems and needs questions on what to ask when they're hiring talent to see if they're understanding the value systems, I'll be more than happy to craft a few questions for them.
That's 100. That's very good tip. I love it, and I think that asking the question, I have nothing to do. For example, if somebody preparing for an interview, maybe they're thinking, "Oh, I want this job. I want this job." Well, check first the value of the company and make sure if those values match with yours, because sometimes you want to be in this job. You want this job so hard that then you don't realize that once you're inside, something is not going to click with you. So I think a research has been done for United Kingdom, and it has shown up that especially young generations, some of them they prefer to get paid less if they work in a company that has social responsibility, that contribute to charity, that recycle and look after the environment. Um, it has shown that in United Kingdom that Some employees they prefer to get paid less and to work in the type of company than another company that pay them more, but those values are not assigned. So imagine until how critical can be this in order to fit within the company. So now, regarding HR, how you guys differentiate yourself? Because if it's an environment that when you look out there, there are a lot of HR company all over the world, right? And I always said that the riches are in the niches. You were talking something very, very interesting, which is knowing your client and how you guys manage to find a niche and how you differentiate yourself from the competition in a market in an industry that if somebody come to me and tell me, Harry, gonna open a shop business, I'm like, well, the good news is there is a lot of demand for it because there's a lot of HR companies, right? So, but now open a gap in the marketplace in a so competitive space could be a little bit challenging. So, how you guys manage to open the space in such a complex industry?
So, Hari, I think the cliche, of course, goes as to, in the niches lie the riches. But I thought, when our experience has been slightly different, we took two differentiators at our organization. One is we realized that this entire business is a relationship centric business. If you build great relationships with
Mm-hmm.
your customers, there is every chance that you will grow at a much faster pace. Obviously, it is extremely difficult for me as an individual to build the kind of relationships across scale. I mean, if I were to do it alone, then I would not be able to scale my organization.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last few years, we've built one of India's strongest business models, which is in the franchising segment. Currently, as we
Wow,
speak,
very
yeah,
powerful.
yeah, very something that has really worked for us. So currently, as we speak, we are currently India's largest franchise network in the recruitment space, largest and very
Wow.
successfully run. Where we not only are running it, as an organization, but of a group of entrepreneurs who've come together to make this look and to believe that this is a much larger outfit. And as luck would have it, it once we started at doing it, and once it's built scale in the last 15 years, all the numbers are in our favor. Our customers are more happier. Our stakeholders, which is our candidates, are also more happier. We've got a huge retention in our business in terms of
Wow,
the
that's very
clients.
important.
We're a profitable company even during COVID times, so that's been a very positive as well.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, we found our niche out there. And second thing, which I think would be an interest to your listeners also, is that every single recruitment company in India or probably globally are all running behind the really large multinational corporations. Talent Corner chose the exact opposite. We said, let's not run behind what the rest of the world is running behind.
If they
Let's
need us,
focus
they will
on.
call us, right?
Yes, they will. They will. If they need us, they'll call us. Exactly. But so we ran behind. We actually now focus on working very closely with the mid-sized organizations in India. These are the guys who actually need us, and very few people are willing to support them. So the MSME sector, the mid-size, medium and small scale enterprises in India, is a very thriving sector.
And it was
If I
on
would
their
say
self,
so.
right? And you guys
Sorry.
went. This sector was on their self, and you guys show up and serve that sector. Wow, amazing! What a
Right.
great idea!
Right, and it's working well
Brilliant!
for us. We work with more than 3,500 clients now, so that's a huge
Wow!
client portfolio, and
Oh
we've done well in that
yeah,
space.
huge for a company. And my question is the following: because you mentioned in your 5 steps, and now you mentioned that again, which is customer experience and the long-term value of the clients, because we have seen a lot in the companies out there that everyone is using all the money uh, to get new clients to the organization, to bring new people. Yeah, no, let's take all the money or huge amount of the money to bring new people, to bring strangers to the organization, which we all do marketing and we know that this is really expensive to bring strangers to your organization. However, nobody cares about the people that already bought from us. Yeah, people that already bought from us. Oh, he's a client already. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Let's take all the money, time, energy, resources, team to keep bringing strangers because we need to show some growth. We need to show that we have more clients. And on the other hand, you have companies like having the approach that you're sharing with us that actually they are understand that they are in the relationship business and keeping and nurture the relationship with clients. If you put some time, money, and effort in that particular part of it, you will notice, number one, that you're gonna have largest retention. Number two, that even those clients can bring you clients because they become your fans. They become your marketing arm, and that one is free actually. And but there is um, what do you think that most of companies that we see out there, a lot of companies that we see out there, they are doing the opposite? And I'm gonna ask you a question more specific, which is, if I give you $100 today, how much of this $100 you will take to bring new clients to your organization, and how much of this $100 you will use time, effort, energy, and resources to develop, nurture, and maintain the relationship with the existing clients, which actually you know already that give you an excellent retention. So how you split this $100 so our listeners can have an idea, if they run an organization and they may be using 95% of the budget to bring new strangers and only putting 2% or zero to nurture and develop relationship with the existing clients, and trying to offer them also alternative products and things like that, which is a gold mine that is there, and they're not paying attention. So how would you do it?
So, Harry, that's an interesting question. I'll tell you what we do at Talent Corner. So, I have a big belief, and I keep telling this to my team: a single happy client is worth $1 million, right? And let me explain.
100%.
Yeah, let me
Tell us,
explain
tell
this to
us.
you. So, assuming that a client stays with you for the next 12 to 15 years, and I'll talk strictly about the HR business. In the HR business, we are typically catering to HR managers. Now, an HR manager or recruiting manager in the next 15 years is going to change a minimum of 5 jobs. And if he or she is happy, they will carry you along with them for the 5 companies that they go to, right? Now, suddenly you're not losing the 5 of them. You're getting all 5 of them because they will continue to do business with you. You add them up, okay, in terms of getting repeat business from them, okay. You also add the fact that they will then refer you to other people, because at
100%.
each organization, every single year, I've seen one HR professional having at least 3 people in their network who are very, very strong, which means that this HR person is going to connect you to at least 30 people in the next
Wow.
10 years and 45 people in the next 15, right? Add this up, this is actually $1 million, right? And coincidentally, Harry, the cost of acquisition of a company in Talent Corner is close to $100 to $120. And when they come in, we invest a sizable amount of effort. Forget about the money, but effort to make sure this $100 becomes $1 million over the next few years. So that's the magic formula for us.
Yeah, I'm glad that you shared this with us. So the we can open the space. I remember, right, in my property business, I had a client that I think I think it was pay me like £600 for 15 years, I think.
Wow. Okay.
So you mind the long term value of the client,
Yeah.
right? Only one client paying this a month. So And you see the biggest companies, some big companies that are doing, especially this internet cable, they say, okay, we give you 6 months for free, just have my internet, just you switch to my internet. And why these companies are doing this? Well, guess what happened? If you actually switch to the internet and for any reason the internet works, you will never change this company internet, never, ever, ever again. It doesn't matter if it's more expensive or cheaper, because when it comes to internet and it works, you will never want to touch this, and we all know that. So those companies understand the long-term value of the client, and that's the reason that they do this kind of thing. All you need to do is deliver a good service, which you
Yes,
have to do it
absolutely.
anyway. You have to do it
Correct.
anyway. You
Correct.
have to be excellent in the service that you deliver to the people anyway. So why not reinforce that? And I think that I remember even most of successful companies like Amazon. Uh, there's something that they put a lot of time, effort, energy, and resources, where they say, okay, let's eliminate all the friction with the clients. We want, if the people gonna order a product, we want them to get the product straight away, and they don't like it, they can change it. No frictions. We want to
Yeah.
enhance the customer experience. We want our clients happy. We want our clients to have an amazing experience, and probably people now, everybody knows Amazon. Yeah, well, but probably you know about Amazon because a friend told you. When you say, oh, I'm gonna buy this, your friend told you, look, go to this place, amazing. There is a lot of things, you arrive very close, and you don't like it, you change it. And you might think that you know about Amazon for Google, but most likely a friend have been told you this. So of course we had to put energy and resources in bringing new clients, but there is a golden on top value in the existing clients uh, database, the existing clients, that if you actually not sure, spend time with them, develop relationship with them, really care about them, it can be huge, right, in terms of
True.
growth. Yeah.
True.
Now.
Very true. I think I'm with you on this one. I think it's far more cheaper to ensure that you stick with the company. And very interestingly, there's some data out there which says that 38% of the business that gets generated around the world happens because of referrals. And imagine the power of referrals. Like you mentioned a story about someone else referring someone to Amazon. It's because the word of mouth is so strong. And I can't agree with you more about the fact that when someone refers you to someone, the chances of you getting the business is as good as 100%.
Scaling up. I think that you guys, when you start to do this, you didn't even know that this is gonna become a franchise. And I remember when I was scaling up my company, I remember that I was looking at myself. I said, Harry, you have a little mess here. If you expand this, you're gonna expand a big mess. Organize and tidily be more the company with procedures, SOP, and so on before you expand. So at one moment you realize that the franchise was the models that you want to follow, and how you learn to build a franchise business model, which is something that is definitely different that building a business. Building a business already had a lot of complexity, and if you're lucky, you are successful. Now, build a franchise on top of it brings more complexity. So, how you embrace that challenge, and what made you think that that was a good model for you guys?
So they say necessity is the mother of all inventions, right?
Uh,
And when we got a little stuck up, when the Lehman Brother crisis happened and the world went into
I
recession.
remember. I
Yeah.
remember. Lehman Brothers. They were in London. I remember. I was living close to Canary Wharf, and I remember to see them empty the building. Yeah, I saw this.
Right. So, when that happened, we thought to ourselves, what do we do differently now? And when we looked around at what happened, we saw various consulting firms like the Deloitte and the KPMGs, and they all operated out of something called the partner model. And that's when we kind of reinvented ourselves and came up with the franchise model. Yes, it is definitely very complex. It is more complexity than in a complex environment which is already there. And
Exactly.
therefore, yeah,
It's bringing
yeah, and
one more
therefore,
complexity to running a business which is already complex. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And so we started off small. Let me be honest to you, Harry. We started off with just 3 or 4 franchise partners because we didn't want to spoil our name, and we didn't want,
Very good.
we didn't want to make money the wrong way. When we saw them succeeding, we accelerated a little bit more. And then when in 2018, when we saw a sizable number of people succeeding, when we had already made a few mistakes and learned from our mistakes,
Mm-hmm,
we said,
mm-hmm.
now is the time to click, to hit on the pedal, and to actually to divert completely and pivot completely into a franchise model. And we shut down our internal team and put our entire focus out there. That's when the game changing happened. And that was 2018. And then came 2020, which is the COVID period. And everything else just fell into place because the world started working online and our franchise model just boomed because the right people came on board, and rest is history. So, a complex problem with a complex solution became a scalable solution thanks to the various leaders that came on board. I'm going to be very honest and bold enough to state on this podcast saying Talent Corner is what it is because of its partners, because of its franchise partners. I do very little, if I may say so, I do very little to run this organization. It is what it is because of our franchise partners.
No, thank you so much. That's really, really charming and shows a lot of humbleness and leadership, right? You know, Warren Buffett, one of the biggest investors of all times. If you tell them, you ask him to what you achieve your success, he will always tell you because of my team. This
True.
because we without them we definitely cannot do it. And from this broadcast, we believe that all entrepreneurs should be healthy, wealthy, and happy, right? And one of the beautiful part of building a company is that if you build it in the right way, exactly like you said, you have very little to do, and it's a great. It's fantastic that you need to go to the office just because you want to, not because you have to,
True.
and and it's fantastic when you are on the space that your team come to you and telling you, you're not gonna believe I had this idea to solve this problem. I have this idea to solve this problem. I'm like, wow, that crazy idea. How you do that? And so you know what I mean. When everybody is in that dynamic, it's such a beautiful thing, and sometimes you have to I was wondering, yeah, I was sometimes I was having conversation within myself that Harry, I don't even know how you pull this off. It sounds uh, like a dream. So how last question is comes about uh, lifestyle balance, because again we want running a large franchise business could be, especially at the beginning, you need to fix all these mistakes, all these bring negative emotions, sometimes long hours of work, and then this lack of speed and this negative emotion, if you don't canalize them, they can become physical pain. You can end up with a heart attack, with cancer. It was one entrepreneur here that he was running 3 in this broadcast. We interviewed already 500 millionaires, and one guy came to this broadcast saying that he had 3 businesses. All of them they were around 10 and over a million, and the guy was vomiting blood of so much stress, and he said, "Okay, I'm running this business running me." He took off. He went to Thailand. So and now everything is fine, right? So how you manage to, or when do you realize that a big part of this growing organization is to work on yourself and to look after yourself? Because if you, something is for sure, if you go uh, mentally unstable in terms that you're exhausted, you're angry, you're tired, um, you're not eating healthy, and so on, that can definitely have an impact in your performance and in the growing process. Now you happily can share with us that, Harry, now I do very little and everything is okay. But I know that to reach to this point, it goes a lot of work and sweat and tears and negative emotions and growing and challenges and things like this. So when do you realize that in order to make this to work, you also have to look after yourself?
Very true, very true. I think you beautifully said this. I think as an entrepreneur, and I'll share this with you with a lot of vulnerability, saying that it's not easy. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur because it's quite lonely on the top,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you will obviously go through a lot of negative emotions because it's you tend to blame yourself for a lot of things, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not in your
You
control.
are, yeah, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for
Yeah,
everything.
you're responsible,
Even COVID
absolutely.
happened, everybody lost a job, you're responsible.
Absolutely. And you're the one taking the risk, right? Everything is riding
Absolutely,
on your shoulders.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, as an entrepreneur, anybody listening to me should say you need to have really strong shoulders if you're going to be, having taken the responsibility. But over a period of time, I think, Harry, there are a few things that I've learned and I'd like to share it with the audience today. I think there's nothing more important than taking care of yourself. Take care of your mind and your body by doing very simple things like exercising every day or a meditation everything. And think that's helped me, and I think it will help others as well. What's also helped me, and I think this is something that's big takeaway which I would like to share is build a group of entrepreneurs who can become your sounding boards. Um, in India, we have an organization called Ascent, which is run by the Mariwala Foundation, which brings together entrepreneurs who are in the same orbit, who talk to each other like a sounding board. You vent out when you need to vent out. You share with each other your ideas. This becomes like your confidential board. We call this the trust group. And this has really, really helped me in this journey moving forward.
Very good.
And of course, talk to your family. I think it's important your family knows, and I understand sometimes you don't want to bring home that much troubles to them, but talk to your family when you need them. And sleep.
Most of them they won't understand what you do anyway, but they can suppose you. Still, my dad is asking me, why you do?"
Correct.
So sometimes family they they just don't understand the dynamic. Yeah, that's the main reason we're doing this podcast. You see that exactly you describe it. Our life as an entrepreneur is lonely, and we only can talk with other entrepreneurs.
True.
When we
True.
go out there to a party or to whatever, and you say, "Well, I have this business," blah, blah, nobody cares. Only other entrepreneur cares, but otherwise, you are a nobody out there. So yes, it's important that we create networks, mastermind. This podcast, the whole point of this podcast is talking with entrepreneurs, talking among ourselves, which is something that actually make my day because I speak with brilliant people like you. So imagine every Tuesday when we do this broadcast, I'm so excited. I'm so happy that I know that I'm gonna have a wonderful day because I'm gonna speak with amazing people, and uh, and hopefully somebody's listening. We will be able to help them to try to make more solve this process, right? Of growing a company, because yes, that now, for example, you describe now you do very little for the company, okay, but in that process of growth, when you have to do a lot, that part takes a lot of emotions, uh, uh, and your body can suffer, your health can
Yeah.
suffer, because in this space of growth, when everybody depends on you,
Correct.
and it's you taking all the decisions until you fix all the mistakes, and you bring the right people, and everything start to work out, and building that state of growth is something that we all had to be go we had to go through this. There's no way that you can escape this. And after, yes, you can say, like you're sharing today, well, I do very little. Yeah, yeah, now you do very little. But it took
Done.
it took
Yeah.
it took a strong time, effort, energy, commitment, no holidays, you name it, until for me, it took me like 2 years, no stop, no stop. I went one day to Piccadilly Circus after the 2 years. I can't believe that I haven't been in Piccadilly Circus in 2 years, which it was nearby London when I was living. That's how immersed I was trying to build the business. So thank you so much. I
Pleasure.
think you're brilliant. I applaud you for what you have achieved, and for our audience, you see, very good source of inspiration, right? So you if you want to do it, and you want to build and grow your business, there you have a wonderful story here that you can achieve a source of inspiration. Last question, very quickly. Somebody want to reach you and find out more about you guys, how they can find you, how this process work?
Sure. So I'm available on LinkedIn by my name, Rashesh Doshi. And one can reach out to our website as well, which is www.talentcorner.in. That website has my contact information. I'm very quick to reply on a WhatsApp. I'm quick to reply on an email. And any help required by anybody, I'm happy to be of support to them.
So in LinkedIn, how can they find you?
It's by my profile name, Rashesh Doshi.
Okay.
So one can just look me up. There are very few Rashesh Doshis in the world, so it's going to be easy to find me.
Yeah, glad that you mentioned, because some people are listening in the car. So that's fantastic. So thank you so much. And for all
Pleasure.
of you following the broadcast, see you now on next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Rashesh break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for
Thank you.
now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.